Hello, it is another Tuesday, which of course means it's time for another in real life video, and of course this is the date of the finale of the Fallout TV show. Also, apologies, I am fairly sick. I've taken some medicine. I've taken a Dayquil equivalent right now. So my apologies if we have to do a little cut while I'm speaking because, based on the most recent video that I attempted to record, Morrowind Mondays, I can't talk for an extended period of time without having a cough, but we'll see how it goes. Once again, apologies, and as well, sorry if I sound different. I sound different in my own head, but you know, that's like the reverberations within your own skull, right? So it sounds a little bit different to you than it sounds going through the mic and all of that. Anyhow, this was the end of Season 2, and I usually try to withhold thinking about like just individual episodes when it comes to a season, and I'd rather think of the season as a whole, as like a cumulative body of work, you know, because sometimes there's an episode that slips, but it has set up for something else later on in the season. So I feel like that's more fair when it comes to television, because all of that is meant to be watched as like, I don't know, a singular body, right, so to speak. But it's got to be said, I don't think I liked Season 2 as much as I enjoyed Season 1. Season 2 has got some weird issues wherein, we'll get into it more later, but I heard it described recently as, I can't remember where I heard it, if it was a podcast or like a video I was listening to. Like I said, apologies, I'm sick. But I heard someone describe, not this show specifically, but, well, maybe it was. But I heard someone describe television and movies as there being like a spectrum, and on one end you have movies and shows where people act, and then on the other end you have movies and shows where things happen. And usually, you know, where if it's a movie or show where things happen, it's a little bit of a lighter affair, right? You're not sitting back watching some sort of like something that wins like best drama of the year or whatever. It's kind of popcorny, it's a little pulpy. It's fun, it's a good time. It doesn't preclude it from being good, being quality, but I would fairly rate, I feel, Fallout as being mostly a TV show in which things happen. There are some good scenes and decent performances here and there, but the show has, especially with regards to Season 1 and 2 so far, it's not that type of show where, right, they're not exactly gunning for like drama of the year at the Emmys, right? They're not exactly aiming for that. They're just looking to have a good time, be kind of faithful to the games and all of that. And for the most part, they accomplish that. But I feel like for being a show that ought to be a show where things happen, very few things happened, right? Very few things happened, and there wasn't too much in the way of like amazing acting. We didn't get to see too much drama and all of that play out between different actors, which we do have some very good actors this season, in addition, like added on to the repertoire of what we had in Season 1. But there just wasn't too much like, you know, earth-shattering emotional moments or anything like that. You know, they convey emotion and all of that, but it's fine. It's serviceable. But regardless, before we get into all of that, in talking about the finale and the entire season, let's sort of do what we usually do, which is a bit of a recap and play-by-play, and sort of like thinking about each individual scene and all of that. This is Season 2, Episode 8, The Strip. I opened my notes as I've been taking notes. Who was Hank on the intercom with, right? During the sort of previously on, it occurred to me, hang on, if House needed to be rebooted or reinitialized or whatever it was, who has Hank been talking to? And, of course, this is probably a question that they want you to think about, given the way in which they set up the opening previously on recap. And it got me thinking about it, and we pretty much get an answer in this episode. Anyway, we find the big reveal of what was on Caesar's body, the skeletal remains of the Caesar as we know and love / hate from New Vegas, the game. They alluded to this note saying who would be next, and this is something that I think a lot of folks kind of figured would be the case. On the note, it says, "I am Caesar, I am the Legion, it ends with me." There were no other plans to go forward with everything else. It was meant to be then and there. He didn't have plans for like a successor or like a any legacy in that regard, which you kind of can see the way in which that would exist. You can kind of read that from Caesar himself as he exists in New Vegas. Kind of makes sense. Other points, I think, I would say parts of the way in which you can read that is that he doesn't really think of anyone else in the Legion as being equal to him. He does still, at the end of the day, I think, see them all as not being nearly the same degree of intellectual, which even Caesar himself is somewhat of a pseudo-intellectual, deliberately so. But it's very much conveyed that he doesn't see them like anyone else, even like his second in command is just like a brute force, is just like a force of nature, if you will, like Atlanteus. But nonetheless, Macaulay Culkin, his character, I forgot even his name, whoever this Legate is, he finds the note during the chaos, the erupting civil war between the different Caesar's legions, pops open the note, reads it, someone else witnesses it, he takes him out, eats the note, and he decides, oh, I'm the new Caesar. Let's go make Caesar's palace, right? They go for that old chestnut. Sorry, excuse me. All right, we are back. Sorry about that. Like I said, I'm fairly sick right now. Which I think as well, this is only the second episode in which we actually see Macaulay Culkin playing this character who is now Caesar, who I'm just going to refer to now as Caesar. Which, like I said, is kind of unfortunate. They didn't really do too much with the character. It was mostly just like a vector for which we could explore more of Lucy and Cooper Howard as the Ghoul, more of their characters. I think on the bright side, it definitely seems to mean that we're cementing Caesar's Legion as like more of a standing force to exist in future Fallout, right? Whether it be just further episodes of the TV show or in games, right? I think we could have that happen as well. Like they could show up further beyond their current area. I think there's also room. I think the best way in which you could handle Caesar's Legion now is to have them be even more of what they already were. They're less driven by someone with like an ideology or whatever. And they can really lean into the pseudo-intellectualism where so much of their fascism is just posturing. It's just playing at, I don't know, being like these sorts of return fascists. Return with a V, you know? I think there's a lot of setup for that, for it to be very shallow and hollow. I think that could be very good. I think you could do some amazing stuff with that and sort of juxtapose the evils of the old Caesar's Legion against the evils of this new Caesar's Legion. I think that's very good. And frankly, I think that's pretty topical. Frankly, I think that kind of going that kind of route is fairly topical, especially in the United States of America right now. Regardless, we cut over to House basically revealing that yes, he in fact no longer really has a body because he saw it as a bit of a weak point, saying that in the past, travelers and stuff, wanderers with grand notions and eccentricities would sometimes would attempt to bludgeon him, poison him, shoot him, all sorts of stuff. And effectively, he reveals to Cooper Howard the Ghoul that he has no body now. He has no body now. And in exchange for working for him, Coop, the Ghoul, gets access to the management vault, which is sealed beneath Vegas, which it's never really fully confirmed that this is the other part of Vault 21, but I feel like at this point it may as well be, right? This is the other part of Vault 21. It's been fully sealed off. I'm surprised that they haven't said it, but that's my best guess, and I feel like there's no reason to think otherwise until we're proven otherwise. So I'm going with it. Anyway, we get another scene of Max defending Freeside. This continues on, a bit of an action sequence with Max, which is very fun. It plays out very cool. We see him using power armor with like actual ranged weapons on it, not just like electro defense or whatever. It shoots missiles. Very cool, very cool. Sorry, be right back. All right, we are back. Sorry again. But I think in the past, when it's come to like weaponized power armor, it's always been like more melee centric, or like a physical feature that is tied to the armor, sort of like the arm blades on Max's current suit. I don't think we've ever seen it like launch a projectile in sort of like Iron Man fashion or whatever, or what's Iron Man's Cody what's his name's Rhodey's what's Rhodey's name, the Iron Patriot, the War Machine, right? In that sense, we haven't really seen it shoot any munitions like that. It's always been like you pick up a gun in that sense. Anyway, it was neat to see. I don't really have anything against the idea of going that route with some power armor, especially if it's like unique to the NCR. Anyway, we once again tie back to stuff with House. I can't help but think they do some more teasing about at the start of this. I wrote here, I guess this was a commercial break. At the start of the episode, they had done more of the like recap of House being like, oh Cooper, as pre-war Cooper says like, yeah, the House always wins, huh? And then House counters by saying like, what if I'm not the House though? What if there's another player? And of course, the White House, the Enclave, the White House, the White House, of course. A very clever way of playing into the little idiom. Anyway, regardless, we get another scene of Lucy with Welch's head asking to be killed. Lucy goes through with it, kills Welch's head, what remains of her. She was very reminiscent of parts of Old World Blues, or even, in some ways, The Master, parts of The Master from Fallout 1, and some of the many voices that you hear when that character speaks. Anyway, we get another return to Norm's group, where Norm is being hauled away. There's a bit of a scuffle. Rad roaches end up attacking from an elevator shaft. Norm saves Ronnie, but then Ronnie pushes out Norm from a safe room, and then all the rad roaches go inside and wipe out almost everyone. But we find out later that it's not everyone, in fact. Anyway, we get another scene back to House and everyone talking. We get a lot of, as tends to be the tradition with the final episode or the ends of these big sequences, we flash between a whole bunch of different characters in different points in time. But we hear more about House talking to the Ghoul about how he rigged everything from the roulette to the slot machines to even access to the impenetrable vault half a mile beneath the strip, which, like I said, I'm assuming this is 21, right? And hence impenetrable. They concreted all over it. Anyway, we see more of Max topside on the strip and in Freeside fighting the Deathclaws. A lot of the Freesiders are betting against Max. Thaddeus, however, decides to show up for his friend Max and says, you know what, 500 caps on Max living. And he reveals that he's actually good for the money. And he says, I thought this was a very funny line. I used to make money for a living. I thought this was very clever. This is one of the most clever jokes that they've done in the show, I think. Anyhow, we have another cut between all of this. House is saying that he was sure he managed to predict almost exactly, off by just a smidge, the end of the world, but he was vastly outclassed when it came to controlling the future, which is very true. Even when we encounter him in New Vegas, he's kind of on his heel. He's kind of in a tight space. He's in a tight area where it's really thanks to the courier that he's able to get out of it, or, as it turns out to be canon, Cooper Howard gets him set up. Seemingly. Anyway, it is revealed that it is very likely to have been, granted, we don't know for certain unless it's completely confirmed by the person who does it or by the group that does it, but House stipulates that it was the Enclave who put the death claws on the strip and lured them there. Which makes sense. In the past, we know for a fact in Fallout 2 and 3 that the Enclave has done a lot of things with death claws. The whole bioengineering stuff that we saw even in the show, very likely tied to the Enclave. We see them like mind controlling them, being able to try and like, I don't know, just generally control them. Anyway, following that, we also have a cut to pre-war Coop, which shockingly reveals that Hank proposed to Steph, the same Steph from the Vault Dweller Steph. And I can't help but wonder, is Steph the mother of Norm and or Lucy? Maybe there's two different mothers to them? I don't know. It's very peculiar. You're definitely meant to wonder about it. I can't help but wonder if it's a situation where there's different parents, right? Hank is the commonality, but the mother is different. I could 100% see that, because I almost feel like we're building up toward an inevitable confrontation between Norm and Lucy, right? If their whole storyline is meant to be like, or sort of like almost the thesis of a lot of the show is like the ways in which the wasteland changes people. You know, you undergo a sort of change as you're faced with making decisions and all of that. If they end up coming out as different types of people at the end of this and they have a confrontation, maybe they parlay at the end of the day, but it really feels like that's the buildup. Like we're going to have a Lucy versus Norm situation on our hands before too long. Anyway. Oh yeah, we also find out that Hank, of course, wants loads of people chipped, but including Lucy. If Lucy isn't willing to obey him through charisma and speech checks, he will just chip her. And then we cut again to House showing Coop the management vault. He goes inside. We cut again. Thaddeus covering Max with a sniper shot. He pulls out his foot, his bare foot, and uses it for the rifle, which I don't know. It's a little nasty. I guess you could do this. I guess you could. It's fucking Fallout. Why not? You have this sort of like ridiculous science fiction stuff in play. Why couldn't he use his toes to do that? Why not? You get a shot of some of Thaddeus's feet while he still has them. Who knows? Next season, he may not have that foot anymore. We don't know what the hell is going on with Thaddeus. I have no idea. Like I said last time, my best guess is that he's becoming a centaur, but even then I don't know. I'm not for certain. He could be becoming an all new different type of creature. Who could say? He's turning into something. Anyway, on the bright side, at least he seems to be very kind, right? Whatever he's turning into, he's becoming very nice. He's continually being like a bit of a dork, but I feel like he's being even kinder of an individual, right? He's not just being nice because he's being told to be nice. He's just being nice because he's becoming a nice person. Anyway, we get another cut to the management vault. We don't actually get to see or hear too much about it. I almost for sure thought that like the shape of it implied that it was used for like firing rockets into space, because it wouldn't be the first time that Fallout has toyed around with the idea of like space as a place to gather resources, especially when compared up against the resource wars, the great resource wars that sort of were the start of, as far as we know, the Great War, the end of the world. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Either way, Coop saves Lucy from getting chipped by Hank, shoots Hank right in the butt, and leaves Hank's fate to Lucy, where she's offered a choice of, I guess, just leaving him shot in the butt, finishing him off, or chipping him. And we find out shortly thereafter what she decides on. But we get more of the action sequence with Max, who exits the busted power armor on the ground and tries a melee build instead. The Thaddeus, of course, not able to fully help out Max here because very difficult to reload with one arm, especially when you are an individual named Thaddeus who already isn't that good at motor skills and now has like a severe debuff. But we do get to see Max with a really cool, like, honestly, a really cool melee bit of equipment, having like a makeshift spear out of like a pole or stick or something, and a roulette shield, a roulette wheel shield. I think it looked really cool. I think it looked really amazing. Just aesthetically, it was dope. The vibes were so cool. Anyway, ends up as Max is rallying, trying to make a last stand against these Deathclaws. The Freesiders are betting against him. The NCR shows up and we get sort of a gratuitous reference to the opening of Fallout New Vegas, where you get the slow motion anti-material sniper shot. Not created 1-to-1. This is off of the Silver Rush building into Freeside rather than off of Freeside, or off of the strip into Freeside, I think, is the normal shot. But regardless, they're completely aping the shit out of that opening cinematic. It's pretty fun. It's fun. Maybe a little bit indicative of some of the issues I have with season 2 as a whole, that it's a little too much candy and not enough actual food. But what can you do? What can you do? They end up saving Max. The NCR just in totality shows up in Freeside. There's like a whole damn troop and platoon, or whatever you call them, a whole regiment of soldiers. The NCR is still a threat. They're back, baby. They're here to occupy Freeside. Anyway, we cut back over to Lucy, who has chipped Hank. She has made the decision, but she hasn't yet activated the chip fully. Instead, Hank is talking of his own free will. They're going back onto the surface, back outside of the 38, where they're speaking for a bit. Hank mentions that it is actually the surface is the experiment. It's not what's inside of the vault. To him, the entirety of the surface of the planet is one big experiment, not anything to do with the vaults. This is probably alluding to stuff with regards to the Enclave, because it seems as if that's who Hank truly answers to. He's sort of became insubordinate to Vault Tech and is in truth actually very pro-Enclave. Anyway, he reveals he already sent out worker drones, so to speak, chipped people, to carry out his tasks that nobody would really be able to detect because the chips are so tiny now. And then Hank wipes himself. He wipes his own mind, and you get a very emotional scene with Lucy sort of sad about Hank. But I don't know, it didn't really affect me so much because we kind of saw this coming, right? Like, there's just no way in which, like, I understand, I can empathize or sympathize with Lucy here in this moment that, yeah, you just saw your father, like, wipe himself away. You have to come to terms with the fact that he was kind of a piece of shit. But we all saw this coming from a mile away, you know? Not to engage in too much of the cynicism of Cooper Howard's Ghoul, but, I mean, come on. He was an asshole. He was an asshole. So although she was trying to act her ass off, I don't know, it didn't really do too much for me. My apologies to Ella Purnell. Anyhow, back out topside, right as she's hitting one of her lowest points of all time, she sees Max, and they reunite, and they have like a very wonderful moment together wherein maybe Max is the good person that he thinks Lucy to be. You know, I think that's what we're really getting at here, is that, well, maybe they all are. Maybe that's it. Maybe the good person is inside of everyone, you know, so to speak. Anyway, we get finally, we get the reveal of what the hell that keepsake was. We go back to Steph being cornered in the vaults. Sorry, apologies again. All right, my apologies. And the big reveal. Steph finally reveals what's inside of Hank's keepsake box. And also, we kind of already, you know, if these two scenes weren't in the same episode, I feel like it would have been decently easy to figure this out on our own. So, kind of crucial that you put these together, because otherwise we, the viewers, would. It's a Pip-Boy in there, which, of course, now we know Hank, in truth, doesn't fully work for Vault-Tec. That's just a ruse. It's sort of his fake. It's a red herring that he's pro-Vault-Tec, because in truth, he is pro-Enclave. The worst of the worst, as far as we know. And as far as the TV show is willing to postulate, it's definitely playing up the Enclave as a big bad. And inside, it's this Pip-Boy that has some sort of direct link to the Enclave. And Steph says, as the rest of the folks pounding on the Overseer's door saying, death to management, death to management. Really cool. You love to hear it. You love to see it. But she says to activate phase 2. And then we get another shot, finally, back to season 1, the big Enclave warehouse base facility, whatever it was, where apparently Dr. Ziegler, I think it was running tests on the TV show's dog meat. We see all of this stuff playing out. We get like big panning shots of it in a snowy mountainous area here. And I was like, what the heck? Where would there be a big snowy mountainous valley like this? Is this the Rocky Mountains? I write. And little did I know that shortly thereafter it would be revealed 100%. This is in Colorado. This is the Rocky Mountains. Next season will be in Colorado, very likely. Anyway, we have another quick scene of Norm sort of makeshift wheeling out his love interest who did try to help him. I can't help but wonder, as Norm is getting out of there, is he gonna try to FEV her to get her to survive? I would love to see it if Norm had to use FEV on her, or she willingly took it herself as like the only way in which she could stop from dying. That would be wild. And if she managed to like retain her faculties, that would be a very wild way to sort of have a super mutant team up in the TV show. That would be very, very wild. And also it would add some balance to Norm's character, right? I feel like Norm is very much putting a lot of points into the specials involving the mind and less so physical specials, right? So it would help if he was just in love with a super mutant, frankly. I think that would be neat. Anyway, we get another cut to a whole shitload of phones ringing for pre-war Cooper Howard. Who could it be? Who is calling him up on all these payphones? Turns out it was House. And House says, it wasn't me. and Cooper is like, what are you talking about? What? What's going to happen? What are you talking about? And House is like, yeah, there's worse people out here than me. Who do you think it is? And this whole episode seems to be working up to saying like, yeah, the Enclave are real tough customers. They're real bad dudes, right? And it's true. They are really bad. But I can't help but think like, dog, you already showed the Enclave in season 1, right? Why? This isn't that big of a reveal. We already had the Enclave appear in the damn show. Where do you think Dogmeat came from? What about the doctor, his head? We had all that shit in season 1. I feel like this kind of like reveal is barely a reveal because we already knew that they were being played up. If anything, it was so curious how they were missing, you know? And so a lot of the ending of this episode is sort of pinned on the idea of like, yeah, the Enclave, aren't they bad? I don't know. They sure are, but as far as a big reveal or moment of exposition, I don't know. The reveal of the President of the United States of America was cooler, and it being Clancy Brown. I feel like that was way cooler than any like Enclave related reveal in this episode, was seeing fucking Clancy Brown in the back of that car. That was fucking cool as shit. He was looking sinister as hell. My man was firing on all cylinders, just looking ominous and foreboding. I loved it. I like the idea of promising, yeah, Clancy Brown, he's going to be in season 3. I love that. But here it falls kind of flat for me. All the shit with the Enclave, like, yeah, we already knew they were a factor here. We already knew that they were operating on some level and that they would be involved in the TV show. And if anything, it was weird that we didn't have anything else about them in this season. And instead we had so much stuff with the NCR and Caesar's Legion, which ultimately didn't really pan out too much. It was just kind of like a Batman versus the Joker situation where it's like, yeah, these two are just destined to fight each other for fucking ever, I guess. I don't know. Anyway. We see as well in post-war times with ghoulified Cooper. He looks inside of Barb and Janie's cryopods finally, thanks to House talking to him and opening stuff up. And inside, it's empty. They're gone. It's just a couple of chairs. We still don't really know how the hell they got into these cryopods, right? This is the big question that a lot of people have, and it may just have to be a retcon or we have to suspend our disbelief in some way, because we 100% see Cooper Howard in episode 1, season 1 with Janie as the bombs are falling. How does he manage to get Janie from point A to B in such a short amount of time? How does he pull off a Fallout 4 sort of opening where just in the nick of time, Janie somehow is saved, right? What the fuck is going on? How is it possible? I think for the time being, I'm just going to pretend like I didn't see that part of season 1, episode 1 until they tell us otherwise. I'm just going to pretend like, yeah, that was a cool moment, but I'm just going to pretend like that didn't happen, because otherwise that shit don't make any sense, right? That don't think about it. Don't think about it. Anyhow, in pre-war times, the United States government is arresting Cooper Howard, pre-war Cooper Howard, on account of him being involved in seditious stuff. I actually don't know exactly what the charge is here. I was talking with my dear partner Kim about this. What exactly is it? What exactly do they get him on? Just like in general, like being in cahoots with Moldaver and what's his name? His veteran, his former Marine buddy. Is that it? What they're getting him on? Or maybe they're just bringing him in. This is just their way of bringing him in as an agent to work for them in pre-war times. Maybe that's it. As a way for the president to sort of maintain this aura of mystique and being uninvolved. They bring him in under the auspices of being like a prisoner, but in truth he isn't. He's actually going to have to work for them or be interrogated by them or tortured by them until he does work for them. Who can say? Anyhow, we also see, we see following this post-war Cooper Howard, ghoulified Cooper Howard, sees the Colorado postcard left inside of the cryopod. How did they get out? Who let them out? It was probably Hank, right? It was probably Hank who got them out of there. But to what end? Why did he specifically want them out? And are they the only ones missing? Did the Enclave take other people out from there? I wonder why. Why were they so important that they got out? That's the big question. Why them specifically? I could understand if it was like, oh yeah, actually a whole bunch of people from there got taken out by the Enclave and sent to this facility in the Rocky Mountains for whatever reason, right? They're being tested on or something. I would believe that. Either way, 100% confirmed now, as far as Cooper Howard is concerned, that his family is still alive. In what way, though? In what way? Because it really feels like we've been setting up this big reveal for Cooper Howard. Like, when he finds his family, they're either already dead or something will have happened to them where, like, he has to have, like, a moment of grief and accept, like, dog, you've already found your new family, right? You have a surrogate family now. It's been 200 damn years. They're screwed up. It's fucked up. It's a bad situation. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow and he'll have Barbara and Janie as well. Who can say? Anyway, we get another quick scene of the Legion marching on Vegas with Culkin taking the reins of everything. Like I said, a whole Batman Joker situation. Of course, Vegas is now occupied by the NCR. Why did they show up? I guess they knew the Legion was going to be there somehow. I don't know why they showed up just in the nick of time. Maybe because some motherfuckers stole their power armor and they were there to get it back. Maybe that's why. We don't really know why. It's cool that they showed up for the action sequence, but I don't know. Like I said, as far as like exposition is concerned, there's very little going on with the NCR and Caesar's Legion. They very much feel like just like background players. You know, they're unimportant in all of this, which I think is unfortunate that we gave them so much screen time. But at the same time, I feel as if you don't do that, a lot of people are going to complain like giant babies that there was not any screen time devoted to both the NCR and Caesar's Legion, given the fact that we're in New Vegas. Right? I feel like so much of season 2 was beholden to the video game Fallout New Vegas that it kind of suffered for it. You know, like there was so much shit in this season where it was like, well, this is the Fallout New Vegas season, so of course we need to have Dinky the Dinosaur. We need to have Big Iron playing. We need to have the Strip. How about the Kings? All this shit where it's like, yeah, remember Fallout New Vegas? Didn't you like that? It was too much. It was wild, I think. It was too wild. We close out with an Inkspot song. Maybe this is the song that they're dedicating to associating with the TV show. It is This Is Worth Fighting For by the Inkspots, I think is what it's called. A very good one, a fun one. You know, almost every mainline Fallout game and New Vegas have devoted to them an Inkspot song. Except for Fallout 2, which for licensing issues, it was maybe. It was not the Inkspots that time around. Anyhow, the credit scene, the CGI credit scene, was just another panning shot, or not panning shot, but zooming out, a moving shot. I don't know camera work of the Strip in Freeside as we're leaving. And then the post-credit scene is also not nearly as cool as the post-credits scene from, I feel like, the first season, where we see Dane going around with an important little item with some sort of cool scroll that they've got with them. And who are they taking it to? But none other than Quintus. That's right, Quintus is still alive. Did you forget halfway through the season? That motherfucker is still alive, and he's like, yeah, I tried to unify the Brotherhood of Steel, but now I'm mad. Now I'm no longer Quintus the Unifier. And they say it with like it's meant to be, have so much gravity. He's like, yeah, now I'm Quintus the Destroyer, which I thought was so funny. Come on, you can't be like, yeah, I'm the Destroyer with a straight face. You can't just be like, I'm the Destroyer. Come on. Fucking, why don't you put a few X's in your username and add in Sephiroth and like Optic 360 no scope? Fucking Quintus the Destroyer, get fucking real. God, somebody kill this old motherfucker. Anyway, inside of the tube, the like big mysterious item that Dane was bringing over, turns out blueprints for Liberty Prime Alpha. Wah! Once again, the show engaging in some egregious fan service with revealing they're probably going to try and make a Liberty Prime or activate one or something. I don't fucking know. How is Quintus going to do it when his chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel is so fucked up? And he's so fucked up too. What's going to happen? I don't know. But we've got, once again, the Enclave is in play. Seems like another Liberty Prime is going to be in play. But we're not going to be on the East Coast just yet. We're going to Colorado, which for me tells me that on our homework before season 3, we gotta play Fallout Tactics. We gotta see what's going on in there. I think we already knew, right, that it was canon, that Fallout Tactics was canon. It's Fallout Brotherhood of Steel that is very wishy-washy, that we don't know if Brotherhood of Steel is going to be anything whatsoever. Regardless, seems like we're bound for Colorado next time around. How the hell are Lucy and Max going to end up there? I don't know. What motivation are they going to have to go there? Because right now, it just seems like Cooper Howard is going there solo dolo. I have no idea. Maybe the Enclave show up in Vegas toward the start of season 3. I don't know. Either way, like I said, I didn't quite enjoy season 2 as much as season 1. The novelty of having a lot of fun references to the video game is wearing thin, right? We can't just go off of that alone. I don't think that's going to be enough to carry the show. There's some cool story beats, but like we had said before in past versions of this Let's Watch, the pacing of it could do with a bit of work, you know? We dwell so much time is devoted to just references, right? Like we gotta get over it. If anything, I'm looking forward to not being in New Vegas for season 3 at least as much, because we're not gonna have to see so much fan service about Fallout New Vegas. I feel like the show season 1 was better when they were able to forge ahead and didn't have to stop paying so much tribute to the fucking video game at every damn turn. I liked it better when they were sort of doing their own damn thing. That was sort of like the cool part of the show. Instead, we've got all these other factions at play, which we don't really know to what end, right? Like, they just served as like the main way in which the NCR and the Legion worked is like an expression of morality for various characters, and like, look at how good I am. Look at how conflicted I am. Look at how evil I am, right? That's sort of the end all be all of the NCR and Legion's existence here, aside from the fact that maybe these are factions that will show up in a future game, right? Maybe that's the light at the end of the tunnel for them, is that we're going to get them in like Fallout 5 or another Fallout spinoff or something. Who knows? But like I said, I'm looking forward to season 3 more because it is set in Colorado, because we aren't going to be so beholden to what came before and to having such absurd levels of just references, right? Truly the Funko Pops of television, right? It's wearing on me. I feel like there was so much less of it in season 1, or it was handled better in season 1. It's just laying on a little too damn thick here, right? We open the season with the shootout in front of Dinky at Novak with Big Iron playing. We close the season with a very clear homage to the opening of Fallout New Vegas. Come on, man. Come on. Let's take it easy. Let's keep doing our own thing, making our own cool moments, you know? That, like I said, that's why I kind of enjoyed season 1, I feel like, more than season 2. As far as, you know, it's a fun popcorn kind of pulpy, enjoyable ride. It doesn't need to be like a serious drama. It's okay. Hopefully we get back to that. But either way, we'll be along for the ride. Sounds like they're already filming season 3. It's already locked in. They're going to do it. By the way, that ridiculous countdown thing ended. It was just another tease for their like weird lore map where you can explore House's penthouse. It wasn't Fallout 3 remastered or New Vegas remastered. Those are still a ways off. Look, they might come out faster than you would expect, but not that fast, right? I don't think they're going to be that damn fast. Still looking forward to them, as we all ought to be, I feel. Seeing for season 3, or at least the trailer, right? We'll do another one of these for when they put out the first trailer and we see some of Colorado and more of the Enclave. The Enclave, a very fantastic villain for the Fallout TV show right now. Very topical stuff, having it be the Enclave. I think that's amazing. It's amazing stuff. I think the Enclave could pan out very, very well. Until next time, please take care of each other.